Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good
Good
morning.
morning from
Good
Good morning
morning.
Singapore.
from Singapore.
Yes, good morning, Singapore. Good morning to all those people watching on the live stream, and most especially watching on the replay. We have a interesting discussion on is Southeast Asia ready to travel? So we'll be talking to Alex Tan of TrustYou, and we'll be having discussing what are the different elements for for people to travel around the region, and so we're not just talking about Manila, we're talking about Southeast Asia. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to join our discussion with Alex on is Southeast Asia ready to travel. My name is Anton Diaz, founder of Our Awesome Planet, and this is Awesome Live with Trust You, Alex Tan.
All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to and thank you for
All right, good morning, Alex. So,
Good
just to
morning.
start off, people need to know your background on why are we having this discussion, and most especially, what is Trust You?
Okay,
Okay.
my name is Alex.
My
I'm
name is
working
Alex. I'm
for this
working
company for
for this
TrustYou.
company for TrustYou.
I don't think many
I
people
don't think
know
many people know
TrustYou.
TrustYou.
TrustYou is a company
TrustYou is a company
specializing in
specializing in
hotel and
hotel
guest
and
review.
guest review.
We provide the
We
necessary
provide the
tool
necessary tool
uh, for the online
for the
reputation
online
management
reputation management
to allow
to
hotels to
allow
manage
hotels to
and
manage
improve
and
the
improve
reviews
the
online.
reviews online.
Hotels will be able
Hotels
to
will
make
be able to
informed
make
decision
informed
from
decision
the
from the
reviews they
reviews
get.
they
They're able to
get. They're
manage
able
the
to manage the
reviews and also
reviews
make
and also
targeted
make targeted
improvement based
improvement
on the
based
reviews they
on the
receive
reviews
from
they
the
receive
guests.
from the guests.
Listening to the guests
Listening
is
to the
actually
guests
very
is actually
important.
very important.
And also for
And also
travelers now,
for
I think
travelers now,
hardly
I
any
think
one of us
hardly any
book
one of us
any
book
hotels
any
without
hotels
reading
without
reviews.
reading reviews.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with the
So
reviews,
with the
so hotels
reviews,
will
so hotels
be
will
able to
be
understand
able
the
to
needs of
understand the
the
needs of
hotel
the
so that
hotel
they
so that
can
they can
make sure
make
that they
sure
are
that
able
they are
to,
able
you know,
to,
provide the
provide
guests with
the guests with
comfortable
comfortable
stay and
stay,
also
and
most
also
important
most important
nowadays is
nowadays
with
is
a peace of
with a
mind.
peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And are there hotels in Manila who uses your platform?
Yes, we do
Yes,
have quite a number of hotels in Manila, especially some of our hotel partners are part of the global chain. So, they do have properties across Manila and across the Philippines as well.
All right. So let's get into our discussion. Maybe let's start with a macro overview. Is Southeast Asia ready to travel, Alex? And maybe can you give us a rundown on what you see is happening in the region right now?
That's a
that's
very good but very difficult question to answer. If you have asked me this question last month, I would be more positive, you know. But as you know, the situation changes so fast, it's so fluid. For example, we were in a much better position last month in Singapore, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We were able
we
to
were
go
able to
out,
go out,
dine, and so
dine,
on.
and so on.
And all of a
And
sudden,
all of a
the number of
sudden, the number
infections
of
increased,
infections
and
increased,
now we are
and
in
now we
some
are in
kind of
some
like
kind of like
restrictions.
restrictions.
You can't dine
You can't
outside in
dine outside
Singapore
in
now. You
Singapore
can
now.
only
You
go
can
out,
only
buy
go out,
takeaway.
buy takeaway.
Even when you
Even
travel,
when you
you
travel,
cannot
you cannot
travel in a
travel.
group. You have to travel like maximum 2 person. Taiwan as
Oh.
well as
Taiwan, as well as
also got
also got
into some
into
mess
some
now with
mess now
the
with the
increase in the
increase
number of
in the
infection.
number of infection.
So
So
I would
I
say
would
yes
say yes
and no. If
and
you say
no.
is
If you say
Southeast
is
Asia
Southeast
ready
Asia
to start
ready to
traveling,
start
it
traveling,
depends
it
on various
depends on
factors.
various factors.
Of course, the
Of
infection
course, the
rate,
infection rate,
Mm-hmm.
and also
and
more
also
importantly
more
now
importantly
is
now is
how
how
how's the
how's the
vaccination program
vaccination
going on
program going on
in various
in
Okay.
countries.
various countries.
Now, I have a particular question for Singapore. So, what really happened in Singapore? How did the cases increase when there's no tourism yet? So, it's all local transmission. And I think the Indian variant is also in Singapore. So, what happened in Singapore?
As you know,
As you know,
Singapore,
Singapore,
especially Changi Airport, you know, a lot of flights come into Changi Airport, even though we can't travel freely as
as
before,
before,
but there are
but there
still
are still
flights coming
flights
in,
coming in,
especially
especially
people, Singaporeans returning from overseas, uh, people who are traveling
Oh,
on very
yeah.
people who
special
are traveling.
reasons. And also we have, as you know, the economy of Singapore depends a lot on foreign labor. So we still have foreign laborers coming in, and one of the biggest source for us is actually from India. So that is also one of the contributing factors to why suddenly this Indian variant seep into the country and caused the spike in infections.
Okay. And what's the vaccination rate in Singapore? It's high already, correct?
Now
Uh,
currently, about 30% of the population has been vaccinated at least with the first jab. It's not fast enough, but I think the government is making arrangement to actually have open up more vaccination centers to ensure that the target is to have everyone vaccinated by the end of the year.
100% by end of the year. Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
So
that's the
yeah,
target. Yeah.
that's the target. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, Manila is still 1%. So
Oh,
hopefully we can
Oh,
get to that as much as possible. So
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
if you can't,
I mean,
if you are not
if you're
vaccinated, you
not
can't travel,
vaccinated, you
right?
can't travel, right?
mhm. And when you travel to Singapore, you need to be vaccinated with a with a certain brand, or what's the policy?
Um,
Um,
I that's a very good question because some countries, as you know, the vaccination program has not been actually going very well, and I don't think the people coming in, maybe say from India and so on, especially the foreign laborers, I don't think they have been vaccinated. You know, so this is also another concern. But even those who are vaccinated, we have seen cases in Singapore, even those who are vaccinated, doctors, nurses, they got infected as well with the new variants. So the vaccination, although it gives a certain amount of protection, but it's not 100%.
Okay. And I think it's Singapore, Malaysia also is on lockdown right now, correct? Taiwan.
Malaysia is
Malaysia
getting very
is getting very
serious.
serious.
In
Oh,
fact,
why?
I read
I read
I read from the
I read
news
from the
that
news that
maybe today they might announce a full lockdown. This is the speculation over there now, because the number of cases has been breaking record every day. So they have
so they
already
have
gone
already
beyond
gone beyond
6,000
6,000
yesterday,
yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and
and
they even
they
announced
even
that those
announced that
who are
those
very
who are very
critical but no
critical but
chance
no
of
chance of
surviving will
surviving
not be
will
admitted to
not be admitted
ICU.
to ICU.
Mm.
It's really serious
It's
over
very
there.
serious
So,
over there.
well,
So,
let's wait to
well,
see
let's
if they
wait
have
to
any
see if they have any
announcement today
announcement
about a
today
really
about a
full
really
lockdown
full
in
lockdown
Malaysia.
in Malaysia.
Okay. And so, what does it mean for people planning a travel? And one of the main reasons we're talking about this is I know a lot of people wanted to travel. Maybe not immediately at the next few months, but planning out end of the year or even next year. So, what does this mean for people? Maybe some would have tickets that they have been rebooking for for a while now, or those planning to get the deals, no? Because the travel deals are really good as well. What does it mean for these people in terms of
I
planning?
think,
I think
yeah, I think hotels as well as the airlines will need to exercise a lot of flexibility in terms of postponing of travel plan and so on. So the guests should be allowed to change date because this is beyond their control. And for travelers themselves, I think we need to be very cautious when we travel. I mean, some of the things that we need to do is actually, like I say, read reviews, know what is going on the other side of the globe that you're
group that
traveling
you are
to.
traveling to.
And
and
hotels
hotels
also they
also
have to
they have
ensure
to
that they have
ensure
the
that they have the
tools
tools
to
to
ensure that they
ensure that they
manage
manage
their
their
reviews and
reviews
also have the tools,
and also have
especially
the
now. I
tools,
think
especially now. I think
because of the pandemic,
because of
they
the
need to
pandemic,
have the
they
tools
need
to
to
be
have
able to
tools to be
engage
able to
real
engage
time with
real time.
the hotel guests, because this is something that without having to be in close proximity, especially to give them the sense of assurance that they are safe. For example, even if you are checking to a hotel, you need to be able to make sure that you are able to contact the hotels in case of any
In case
need.
of any need,
So you need
Mm-hmm.
to have
so
the
you need to
necessary
have
tool to do
necessary
so.
tool to do so.
Yeah. All right. And in terms of, for example, for Singapore, where do you get the official information about Singapore?
Here the government
Here, the
provides
government
very
provides
good
very good
various channels of
various channels of
information for us.
information for us.
There are
You
apps
know,
that
there are
we
apps that
use
we
when
use
we go
when
out.
we go
When we
out.
enter any
When we
building, shopping centers, restaurants. And also we have news channel that we subscribe to that the government will update us. In fact, the government give us updates like 2 3 times a day. The number of
the number of
infections,
infections,
where are the
where
places
are
to
the
avoid,
places to avoid,
where are the
where
places
are the
where
places
infected
where
person has
infected
been
person has
to, and
been
so on.
to, and so on.
Ah, okay. What's the website? Do you have the website? Do you guys go to any website for the official news?
Like for example, we have the news channel, then we have the government website that you can subscribe to, and also because we all have this app called Trace Together, where we have
Trace
Where we
to
have
together.
scan,
to scan,
wherever we go.
wherever we go.
So that
Mm-hmm.
So that
uh, app is
app is
actually
actually
able to tell
able to
us,
tell
if
us,
I've been to
if
a
I've
shopping
been to a
center
shopping
where
center
someone
where someone
infected has been
infected has
there,
been there,
then
Mm-hmm.
I'll
then
know.
I'll know.
Okay. Now, I'm curious because you guys run, the hotel reviews as well. What has been the behavior or comments of people who went on a staycation or travel recently, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? What's the difference? Are they more complaining about the service because during this this situation there's a lot of lack of manpower, you have to lower down the service. What's happening in that hotel service industry as we go through this pandemic and go out in a post covid world?
We can see there's a change now because we also track in terms of what kind of issues that guests normally bring up, you know, like you say, service and so on. Now, the more prominent one, for example, safety, hygiene, cleanliness. These are some of the things that being mentioned over and over again, and we didn't see that this area being covered so extensively previously prior to the pandemic, but now these are things that people are most concerned about when they travel or they have
Or they have
staycation and so
staycation
on.
and so on.
Any example, specific example on what are they particular on when they go to hotel?
Cleanliness, they also want to make sure that they are able to contact the hotels even prior to departure, for example, to make sure that they know what is going on. For example, before I
Before
travel
I
to Manila,
travel to
I
Manila,
would love
I
Okay.
to
would
check with
love
the
to
hotel
check
in
with the
Manila,
hotel in
how's the
Manila. How's
situation,
the
for example,
situation?
so I don't want to be caught, by surprise and so on. So, these are some of the things that are now becoming more and more important. Like I mentioned just now, being able to even on site in the hotel, being able to communicate directly, without having to be in close proximity with the guest. The guest must have the channel to communicate with the hotel. That's why we also recently launched our new product called, for example, live messaging that allows the guest to actually communicate anytime while they're in the hotel, real time with the hotels, to make sure that that if they have any concern, their concerns are attended to, on the spot.
Isn't that a bit difficult for the hotels to execute in terms of service? Because it would require a lot of manpower, I guess, to to run that kind of operation.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right there. Because this is something that the hotel will have to, you know, put more resources in place. That is also the reason why it's so important for hotels to actually acquire tools like what TrustYou is able to provide, because that will help you to manage the situation better without having to add in more resources.
Okay. Um, in terms of hotel, I'm just curious on the hotel because as you plan your visit to a hotel, so do you have to bring, I guess, all your, if you need to bring PPE, you'll bring the PPE, or are there available PPEs in the hotels?
I think it depends on the hotel. I am not aware of any hotels requiring guests to be in PPE unless you're one of those guests who are checking in on, say, stay home notice, for example. They might require you to do so. So also that's the reason why it's very important for the guests to actually read reviews, understand what is going on, and if the hotel has the capability to actually engage with the guests directly, you can also contact them and also ask, do I need this or do I need that, so that, like I say, don't caught by surprise when you arrive and then you're not prepared.
Okay. And I know during this time, the hotels don't provide turn down service anymore on a daily basis, correct? Or is this happening? Oh, what's the practice around the region on this?
I think it varies from hotel to hotel. From my understanding is hotel now will try to minimize the minimize the time having to be in direct contact with the guests, because this will reduce the risk of infection.
Okay.
So turn down service and stuff like that, I think is something that I think even the guests can live without in current situation.
And in terms of you mentioned about reading the guest reviews, where can you read those reviews? Because I always get survey from the hotels directly, maybe from your system or not. But where can you read them? Do you read them in third party sites, or are there centralized platforms for hotel reviews?
Um, I mean, there is review site that you can go via a certain online travel agents. You can always go back to the online travel agent site to read reviews. Another popular one would be, for example, TripAdvisor. You can also read reviews there. Google, for example. These are some of the sites that you can actually have access to reviews of various hotels. Some hotels even display reviews on their own hotel website.
But you cannot read it in Trust You.
TrustYou is actually, we are not a what you call a B2C system.
Platform. Okay.
Yeah, our platform is not B2C. Ours is more B2B. We work with the hotels to enable hotels to do reputation management.
And so maybe just to have some, for those people planning their travel, any tips on how to plan for, like, in terms of, given the our current situation, if Southeast Asia ready to travel, what would be a reasonable time frame, do you think, that we should plan out our travel? You said like Singapore is targeting 100% vaccination in at the end of the year. Does that mean we should start planning our travel in next year after December, or any tips for people starting to plan on traveling at least around the region?
I think this is something that is depending very much on the personal preference. You can start planning your travel, for example, for the last quarter of the year. But I think the most important thing is to check with the airlines and check with the hotels in case you know travel is banned again. What can I do? Can I get a refund? Can I postpone my trip? You must have all this information so that, because like I say, the situation is so fluid, so unpredictable. It's totally beyond our control. You know, it's up to the various governments to, some governments might decide to you know, stop, close the borders, for example. So you just need to make sure that you have all this information from the hotels or from the airlines to make sure that your booking won't go to waste in case travel is banned again. But of course, you want to make take advantage of the cheap deals and so on. Go ahead and make a booking. I think we need to be optimistic. That the situation will improve, and I think with more and more people being vaccinated, I'm sure the situation will get better.
And the I guess traveling with kids won't be allowed during this time until probably they're vaccinated. What's the idea there in Singapore about traveling with the kids, or vaccination with the kids?
Now the government in Singapore is also looking at vaccinating younger kids. Before this, most vaccination only apply for people 18 and
18 and
above.
above.
So
So
now
now
I think they have
they
actually
have
got
got
the green
the
light
green
from
light from
some of
some of
the
the
vaccine
vaccine
providers that certain vaccines can be used for younger kids now. So I think
so I think
Singapore is
Singapore
about
is about
to
to
roll that out
roll
as
that out
well,
as well,
so that
so that
the
the
younger
younger
kids can get vaccinated as well. So that will allow
so
them
that
to
will allow
travel,
them to
hopefully.
travel hopefully.
Okay. All right. And maybe one last questions in terms of insurance policies. What have you seen happening in the region, and what should travelers look at in terms of insurance?
I think when you buy a travel insurance, it's very important to ask if it covers, in terms of, you know, uh, curtailment of plan in case you can't travel, are you covered by insurance? Or when you travel, you get infected, will the insurance cover as well? So these are some of the, things that you really need to check with the insurance company, because I think the coverage may vary from company to company.
Sorry. Um, and maybe finally, just for hotels, how many of the hotels that the businesses you're supporting are recovering or trying their best, or what's their situation now?
It depends on which country they're based in. You know,
You know,
India is,
India
as you
is
know, now is very serious. Singapore at one time were quite almost back to normal until recent weeks. Taiwan,
Taiwan.
but so far, from the trend that we are seeing, it seems like China is coping quite well,
Mm-hmm.
and Ja- and
And
China is one
China
big
is
market.
one big market,
So China
so
is coping
China is
well,
coping well,
but the
but
rest,
the rest,
is always
is
up and
always up
down.
and down.
Yeah. But I think China will start to open up this year, correct? For travel.
But I think currently they are still not open for outsiders to get in, only for special reasons, that you can travel to China now. So, but given that the way that they have been managing the pandemic so well, so hopefully, China opening up will also, you know, boost the overall economy across the region.
Yeah. And I think that that goes into discussion on vaccination because they were saying, when you go to Europe, you need to have like Pfizer or Moderna, but China would require like Sinovac or
Yeah, yeah.
Sinopharm for vaccination. So, how would that work? You need to have like a few vaccination before to travel around.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I'm also confused. For me to be on the safe side, I go for Pfizer.
So Singapore is rolling out Pfizer or Sinovac also?
Singapore, we have
Singapore,
two, Moderna and Pfizer.
Those are the two. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
we don't
we
have
don't have
Sinovac yet.
Sinovac yet.
Okay, but like Indonesia is purely almost or mostly Sinovac, correct? How about
Yes,
Malaysia?
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
How about
Malaysia,
Malaysia?
they have
Malaysia, they have
Sinovac, they have
Sinovac, they have
AstraZeneca, they have
AstraZeneca, they have
Pfizer. They
Pfizer.
have
They have
more
more
options over
options
there.
over there.
More options over there. Okay. All right. Really interesting time for our travel, our industry. I know here in Manila, the staycations are not yet open, and a lot of the because we just are coming from a lockdown also recently, and it's tough. But people are starting to travel. Actually, I noticed, and this is the main reason I wanted to have this discussion with you. A lot of people in Manila is actually traveling to the US. So uh, because of the situation in the US, where I think, or at least they think they manage the situation well. So people are starting to travel, or people are starting, those who have been locked down for what, ever since last year, they really just wanted to get out. And and recently we had a friend who tried to get out of Manila and go to Thailand via Singapore, because, and this is for leisure. So although there are really a lot of like hindrance along the way, a lot of checkpoints, they have to check your, if you're tested or not. um, so I mean, any final thoughts or advice to people starting to plan their travel, and maybe to the hotels as well, if you have any advice for people staying in the hotel, or you know uh, planning their hotel stay during this time.
Okay, I think
Okay,
for
I
the
think for the
travelers,
travelers,
you know,
you know,
be very
be
careful,
very careful.
check and make sure that you have all the necessary information. For example, check with the hotel, check with the airlines. You mentioned about travel insurance, check with the travel insurance as well to make sure you're well covered. And I think for the hotels, this is actually a good time for them to look at, what they can do to ensure that, you know, they can give the guests a comfortable stay and also with a peace of mind. Have the necessary tool to make sure that you are able to manage the situation, like what you mentioned, that you may end up having to put in a lot more resources to do this. Going into automation is actually one way of doing it, so that you're able to do it in such a way that is more efficient and also safer between you and also your guests. So at the end of the day, all we want is to ensure that when we go for holiday, we enjoy it, and at the same time we go with a peace of mind.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex. It's nice to have a discussion from somebody in Singapore, and about this topic. And maybe when everything's fine, we can have an updated discussion as well on what's
Sure.
happening in the industry.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your
Very much
time,
for your time,
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
and
Bye
stay
bye.
and
safe,
stay safe,
everyone.
everyone.
Stay safe. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.